Have you ever felt like you just cannot go on anymore? You're absolutely exhausted, you've lost all motivation and drive, you feel detached, you feel secluded, and you just don't have the will to do anything. Everything becomes a chore. You're absolutely just feeling lonely and down, and you're dreading each and every day. If that's something that you've experienced, then most likely you went through burnout. And burnout is when your body stays in a prolonged state of stress. Because stress is there to help us react when we're in danger. So our bodies are only supposed to be under stress for short periods of time for us to react and get ourselves out of immediate danger. So that fight or flight kind of time where your body produces a lot of adrenaline to make you be more efficient, move quicker, and just take action. But if you're putting your body through prolonged days and months of stress, it cannot cope with that kind of pressure, and so you end up burning out. So if that's you, then this video is definitely helpful. I'm Hamasa. I look at personal development as well as mental and emotional well-being and just day-to-day issues. Please subscribe to my page so that you're up to date with my content. This week I wanted to discuss burnout. I've experienced this myself before, a couple years ago, and when I was doing my research for this video and reading all the symptoms and how it makes you feel, is when I realized that what I was actually going through is burnout. But at the time, I didn't know what was happening, and I just felt awful. So much so that I collapsed on a shoot and I got so sick that I had to get hospitalized because my body had just given up. And at the same time, my eyes started reacting, so I couldn't wear makeup. That was another, and I went to every hospital, doctor, specialist, holistic medicine you can imagine for me to figure out what was wrong with my eyes. They were just blowing up, getting very sore. I couldn't, they were like, the skin on my eyes had turned like scales. It was awful. And again, I was told that it's psychological. My body has had enough of modeling, and I'm forcing it and pushing it. So I had to really take a good look at myself and make a decision and change the way I worked and my mindset towards my job. So burnout is mainly associated with work-related stress, or if you're a student and you have exams and things, you could also experience burnout. But it's not just tied down to professional stress. You can have burnout when you're dealing with very bad family issue or something else. If you're putting your body through months of stress, then eventually it's going to give up on you. And if you feel that pressure that you can't get away from your stress and you're stuck in it, then that also adds to you having burnout. So let's look at the symptoms or what burnout can do to you. So the 3 key points of burnout or symptoms that you need to watch out for is just exhaustion, like you're physically, mentally drained at all times. The second thing is detachment and just very, very like wrapped up in your own world and very bitter and just negative about everything. The third symptoms is lack of accomplishment and motivation. So if it's work that's making you burn out, obviously because you care so much and you're under stress, you suddenly start just not giving a crap about it. You're very robotic and you're just getting the job done, but you don't care what you're actually doing or not doing. So when you notice these in a pattern, then those are symptoms of burnout. So the way burnout developed for me was that I was always in education. So I was at school and I was at college and I was at university, and I've always modeled. I started modeling when I was 14. So it's always been a part of my day-to-day. I always try to fit in the modeling alongside my studies. But when I graduated from university, I had a choice whether I should pursue my modeling career or get into a job of the subject that I studied, which was marketing. I chose to pursue my modeling career because I know that it has a very short shelf life, and so I wanted to give it my all. So when I started doing it full time, things started picking up for me. I started booking a lot more work, and because you're self-employed as a model, you always end up taking the work because you don't know when's the next time you're going to work. That fear is always over your head. You don't have sick pay, you don't have holiday pay. So the more you work, the more you earn, and the more you establish your career. So not only in between the paid jobs, I was like shooting paid work, I was also doing a lot of test shoots and a lot of free work to then expand my portfolio and to book the bigger jobs. I just really wanted to give it my all. It was my dream job, and I really wanted to push and focus. So what happened is that I became signed to a few brands on to do shoots regularly. And with the fashion industry, once you're working for one brand and they see you do well or that you're selling, then everybody wants to work with you. That's why you see different girls on different websites, and then once you see the same girl in one place, she's then used everywhere. And you see the same girl everywhere until the next new flavor of the month comes along. So at that time, I was the flavor of the month, and so I was booking majority of the e-com brands between Dublin, Sweden, Germany, London, Manchester, and I was in circulation. So my schedule was so packed up that I remember speaking to my friends in August about arranging a catch-up, and they asked me when was the next time I was available, and I could honestly hand on heart say that it was like mid-October. That's how packed up my schedule was. I was shooting my clients that were with my agency, who were Monday to Friday. But then I also shoot a lot of Asian bridal stuff, which wasn't through my agency, and so I would schedule them in on the weekends. I literally had no time. I was shooting 17, 18 days in a row, and then I would have a day off. And in that day off, I had to do all my admin work, my groceries, my laundry, and then I'd be away again for another 21 days in hotel rooms, traveling alone, long hours, not eating good food, not sleeping well, because every time I was in a new hotel room, it wasn't that easy. Like I was in a new city shooting for a new client. I wasn't getting used to my surroundings, so I couldn't just fall asleep. I did that for 3 years, and I wasn't realizing that I was so burnt out. So much so, like I said, until I collapsed. When I collapsed, I hated my job. I hated modeling. I never wanted to step foot in a studio again. I was very irritable. So the symptoms is when you're exhausted, you've got body aches, you've got aches and pains, you want to sleep all the time, you're irritable, you have headaches, you feel like you don't want to do this anymore. The very career that I thought was my dream job and I really wanted to do it, when it was all happening to me and I was at the peak of it and I was really doing well, I didn't realize that I needed to take some time out for my well-being, for my health, for my mental health. I just threw myself knee deep in it until I completely burnt out and hated it. And so because I got sick and I couldn't wear makeup, I was forced to stop. And having a couple months off gave me that time to reflect and see that I am so unhappy with what I'm doing. I hate this. And so I started making changes. The cynicism and detachment section is to do with not enjoying what you do, isolating yourself, not relating to your colleagues, having a bad attitude, which I felt like I had all of those, aside from being physically exhausted. And when it comes to feeling like a lack of accomplishment, I just didn't feel good enough. I felt like I need to do more. This is not enough. I'm on a time scale. I'm not doing, I never felt like I got to do my to-do list. I always felt like I was playing catch up. If these symptoms are left untreated, then obviously it could really cause some major health issues for you. So we need to do, for me, like I said, I collapsed on a shoot and then I got very sick and my eyes reacted and I couldn't work for 6 months because I physically couldn't put on makeup. You don't want to be in my position. That was my career, that was my dream job, that was my bread and butter. And all of a sudden, it just got stopped. And I didn't even know what was wrong with me or the cure for it. And I didn't know that I was ever going to go back to it. So you don't want to be in my position. You have to do certain things to avoid getting that sick and that exhausted. And the first thing is to start looking at what's causing you to feel like this. And most likely, like I said, this is associated with job or studies. So you need to change your work pattern. The whole work-life balance, like people say it, but I learned it the hard way. And so I want to share this with you guys, that if you're doing this to yourself, you've got to change that. You've got to probably work less hours, or try and, whatever stresses at work is happening, when you're home, try and detach yourself and not think about it. Spend some time on your personal well-being and just take more breaks. Break that pattern up. You need to do that, because this isn't going to get any better, and you're just going to, this level of stress will only mean one thing. My next tip for you would be that if you feel this isolated and alone and run down, you need the support of your close social circles, your friends, your colleagues, your family, your partner. You need to speak up about things that are really getting to you and that you are finding difficult to cope with. Having a good social circle and emotional support is huge in coping with burnout and coming out of that mindset. Because a problem shared is a problem halved. So you're just taking that weight and that loneliness, isolation out. And of course, other relaxation things like meditation, yoga, breathing exercises, mindfulness, therapy, theater, arts, exercising, working out, eating healthy. These things all play a part, because you're putting time aside to look after yourself and your well-being and your mind. So the stresses at work won't be able to get deep under your skin so much. You're able to kind of detach from that and be present in what you're doing there and then. Prioritize your health, your well-being, the food you eat, the amount of sleep you get, and your mental well-being. It's so important for us not to forget your mental health as well as your physical health. So it's important for us to be conscious of how much time and effort and emotion and energy we invest into our jobs. And if it's really killing us, then don't kill yourself for your work, because you know that they won't do that for you. So everything in balance, everything in moderation. You know, if it's costing you your health, then it's not worth it. If it's costing you your well-being, then it's not worth it. So I hope that you guys found this video helpful. If you are in this situation and you are feeling overwhelmed with work, then my recommendation for you to be to speak to your manager, tell them how you're feeling. Nowadays, mental health is taken very seriously in the workplace. Discuss that you feel like you're burning out and that you need that support and that understanding, and make sure that you communicate it and let them know. And hopefully that will help ease the level of stress that you're under. Quitting or walking away from it is never a cure, because the next job, if you allow it to get to you to that extent, same thing will happen again. So remember that, and remember to take care of yourself, because if you don't, then no one else will. It's your job, it's your mind, it's your body. Only you know how it feels. If you enjoyed this video, please do like and comment on it. Please subscribe to my page, and I will see you guys again here next week. Thank you so much for watching. Mwah.